Okay, Kevin, so I just want to give you a quick rundown on this radio. I know you're familiar with it, but just to show you what buttons we've used for what functions. On the left here, this A button is for waypoint marking. Now, how the waypoint marker works is you've got to put it down and you've got to lift it up to actually successfully mark the waypoint. That's waypoint 1. If you want to do another one after that, push it again, let it go. That'll be waypoint 2, or it'll mark a second waypoint. This button on the right here, that is your bait release. You've got to push it in, bait release, you must lift it up again because the servo is going to fight with it's going to be under pressure against the spring on the bait tray release. So after releasing the bait, you press it again to bring the servo back to this 1 o'clock position so that the load is off the servo. We've used this switch on the top here, which is E, and we've made this so that to the left is auto sail, center is manual, and to the right is RTL. So it's basically RTL, center is manual, and then auto sail if you've marked a waypoint or if you're in a starter mission, if you're using the radio only. Okay, there's some other things, little quirks I've got to explain to you, but let's begin by starting the radio system. All right, the very first time, every time when you put the boat off and you put it back on, strange thing, but it's just the way that it is. When you arm it, if you do it by stick, with a stick, and you hold that to the right, it's going to take longer than usual. Normally it's 5 seconds, now it takes 10 seconds. Okay, obviously now we've got the EKF failure, which is just a variance. It'll clear itself shortly. Okay, now it's fully armed and it's got its home coordinates, all is good. Disarm it, it's very quick, 5 seconds. Disarmed, and then rearming again, very quick. But, so the very first time it takes long, but there is something that comes up, and it comes up intermittently, and that is that if you've got the screen on, if you've got the phone connected, and let us say you were going to arm using the phone, so I'll disarm it like that. Okay, now I'm going to arm it. What will happen is, if you're arming with a screen, 2 things happen. 1, it won't arm the first time round because you've got to press it twice. So it needs the same timing, around about 10 seconds, the same as it's taking if I do it with a stick. So but only when I first put the power on. So when it's been on and I want to arm it, there's no problem. It'll arm straight away, no problem. But to demonstrate it, I'll put the boat off again. Okay, put it back on again. Okay, every single time I put the boat off, when I try to arm it, even if I arm it with the stick, it takes 10 seconds. And if I arm it with the cell phone, you'll see that it doesn't arm after 1 press. It doesn't arm, you'll do it again to give you the same 10 seconds. And it arms perfectly. All that's easy, there's no problem with that, simple. But every now and again a message comes up here, and I'm going to send you a screenshot of it. Every now and again a message comes up here which says that the servo functions are not correct, and it says correct. In other words, you're asking it to correct. If you say yes, very, very bad. Don't ever say yes. Always say no, cancel. Because for some reason, this system, the way this is working, it basically is looking at the outputs when the boat is, or when the autopilot, the flight controller is used as a rover, where you only have 1 motor, and it essentially goes and it wants to change all the other servo outputs to motors as though it were a rover. And it's, as I say, it doesn't happen on any other radio. It's something we've picked up on this radio. So all that you do is, whenever that message, and as I say, I'll send you a screenshot, when it comes up, you just say cancel. Now, the easiest way, if you were to explain this to a client, was to say, don't use this, or don't turn this on until you've armed the boat using the stick. Just hold it 10 seconds. Once it's been armed once, and you've held it for that 10-second period, there's no further issue, and that message never comes up. So we'll talk more about that. And that's it. We've experienced quirks on other apps as well. In other words, for example, when you use Ground Control, on Ground Control, once you've got a mission or you've saved a waypoint, on the screen comes up start mission, and there's quite a long note about that on one of our tutorials on the website, where it says slide to start mission. If you do that without arming, you put the speed controller into program mode. So I've given a note there. Never move the slider to start a mission, even if you've created a mission or have waypoints that you want to sail to, before you've armed the boat. So that's a quirk with that system. The quirk with this one is that if you ever see that message, do not say correct, because what's involved then is you have to then rewrite the program, not the firmware, but the program that we've set up for the boat. So yeah, important. Okay, that's it for this one.